What's going on, guys? This is Martyrs Brigade 99 coming to you once again with another session of Killzone Shadow Fall. Alright guys, so we are starting in at the park, right? And even though I got in just a little bit in the middle of the first mission, it looks like it's still early enough for it to matter. Right? Will at least matter to me. Now, just by starting off and noticing that there are 2 spawn points, it looks like I got myself on a good team. Looked like I was pretty much lucky. So either one of 2 things. Either I have a lot of noobs on the team, but there are some senior players, right, who are carrying the team. Or there's a lot of experienced team players that basically know what to do when the missions arise. So that's good to go. As you guys notice, it's not too long before I'm being revived, which is also a good indicator. I don't know how many times I've played on these maps, and my particular team will be full of support guys, yet they'll just run right over your dead body and won't even pick you up. Right, so in most cases, whenever I start off on a team, and let's just say I'm doing randoms and I'm not even necessarily playing with friends, there's a couple indicators that I'm on a good team. Like I said before, it's not necessarily by the number of unlocks, because you can kind of look at the roster and see how many people on your team, and like what are the associated unlocks with those players. That will kind of give you an idea, but not necessarily, because, I mean, case in point, this is my secondary account. This is the Martyrs Brigade without the 99, which is an alternate. And this particular profile, I think it has around, let me see, as a matter of fact, I think the next time I die, I'll be able to tell you. So, I mean, because, once you die, I don't know if you guys are familiar, but once you die, it'll show the name and the number of unlocks for the person who killed you, in addition to yours in comparison. Right, so maybe if I don't click too quickly, we'll be able to tell exactly how many unlocks I have. Okay, my bad, dude. I was kind of quick on the draw. I kind of saw somebody running. I couldn't really distinguish between them or the opposing team, so I just shot. Better to be safe. Kind of like some of that Killzone 3 instinct, right? So for a lot of you guys that may be familiar with Killzone 3, we had the infiltrators. And the infiltrators could disguise themselves as the opposing team. So, I mean, shooting at your teammates wouldn't be uncommon, at least in that game, because you'd never know if it would be a tricky infiltrator, or, I mean, hey, maybe just giving your buddy some shots to the face. All right, so it looks like I died. Let's see. Okay, so I have 323 unlocks. He has 158. So, like I said before, I don't even have a lot of unlocks on this profile, which actually brings me to another good point. For a lot of you guys who are under the impression that the more things that you unlock somehow is an indicator of, the degree to which you will be a good contributor to your team, look, dude, you couldn't be more wrong. Because like I said before, not only am I saying it, but I'm demonstrating it. I have 323 unlocks at the time of this particular video. Right? And you guys are going to notice, despite not having maxed out my revive drone, my ground support or air support turrets, because I think in this particular video, my ground support turret is only like level 2, maybe level 3. My air support turret is only like level 2, and my revive drone, I think at this point I'm kind of like either level 4 or 5. And in the event that you guys kind of don't know what that means within the context of things, the max level is level 11. Right, so I'm like kind of level 2 with the ground support, level 1 for the air support, and I'm like level 5 for the revive. So, in other words, you don't have to have 1,000 unlocks in order to be an asset to your team. The only thing you need to do is be team-minded and not individual-minded, especially when you're playing as a support class. Now, one thing that I want to talk about, for a lot of those guys that worry, well, if I pursue the missions, I won't be able to get a lot of kills. Well, let me just kind of talk about which objectives are more likely for, well, actually let me take that back. There's some objectives where you need to be a little more defensive. You don't necessarily have to be, but it will probably benefit you to be a little more defensive, whereas there are other objectives that would allow for you to be a lot more offensive. Case in point, let's just say you have search and destroy attack. Well, for a lot of you guys like to run around and get kills after you pursue the objective, hey, you can circle around and kill as many people as you can. Why? Because not only are you attacking the objective, but you need to defend, right? Because in other words, you don't want them to take down the objective once you fired it up. So you need to defend. So in an effort to defend, you need to go ahead and pick off as many people as you can. Now, if you're an assault guy, if you could do that personally, or you can have your buddy drone, go ahead and pair it off with, let's just say, the speed boots for some quick mobility. You can get the stun blast to come up and, flank somebody, take them by surprise. If you are, actually, I'm not going to even talk about the scout class. I'm not going to even talk about the scout class. I'm just going to keep my conversation relative to the support class and the assault class. Okay, so like I was saying, I believe we're talking about search and destroy attack. So even with search and destroy defend, you guys will notice I don't just sit in one place during search and destroy defend. Even with the defend, one way of defending is suppressing the enemy. One way of suppressing the enemy is to ensure that they're, let's just say you don't want to you want to make sure they don't escape their base, right? Or let's just say you want to go so far into their area to where they don't have time to pursue their part of the mission. Well, that's another way of suppression, right? So you guys don't have to have this fear that, well, the reason why I run around so much is because I want to get a lot of kills. You will get a lot of your kills, right? You definitely will. Just keep in mind that when it comes to Warzone, you guys need to be team-minded. You can't be individual-minded because though you as an individual may have good stats, right? Maybe you as an individual may have, let's just say you have 90 kills. Well, guess what? 90 kills as an individual may not necessarily mean that your team will win. So if you care more about kill counts, then why don't you just go, and actually this guy right here is a noob. You want to know how I can tell? Now I just dropped my spawn beacon and he saw it. Yet the only thing he was focused on was killing me. He didn't even take down the spawn beacon, which is not really good for him because think about it. That spawn beacon means pretty much immediate reinforcements. And as long as there's reinforcements, we're going to be on his backside, right? So next time he come around, we may have a surprise for him. If you guys notice, my spawn beacon is still up. So right now we're doing defending. And here's another example of what I mean about suppression. Now, actually, we are on the opposition side. Right now, I am a part of the Hellgast. But this is the VSA side. So in other words, they've allowed us, more than likely, for one of two reasons. Either because they're actively pursuing A, or B, because they're upstairs somewhere. And I've noticed that on a lot of these objectives. The objective will be downstairs, right? And as a matter of fact, speaking of the devil, I think we lose this mission right here because some idiot noticed that there was a firefight upstairs. And because they noticed there was a firefight upstairs and they wanted to get everybody near the firefight, we end up losing. Because if you guys notice, we're doing a good job at defending right now. They can't even get past us, which is good because if they can't get past us, they won't be able to fire up the mission. But some idiot, and you guys are going to notice it real soon, some idiot, and actually some of you guys may say to yourself, well, why are you leaving? Well, what I was going to do, if you guys notice, those guys had, they were kind of trapped back in that back area. So what I intended to do was to go a little further into their spawn and let's just say really cut them off at the pass. And you guys notice they're slowly pushing their way through, but this poor assault guy right here doesn't look like he have too many reinforcements. Okay, so maybe he does. There's one guy in addition to him. Oh, it looks like, okay, so it looks like they're pushing now. And not only are they pushing, you guys notice they have A fired up. So at least they have their team split. And actually, you know, there was really no reason why those guys got B. If you guys notice, I spawned in on the top. And I'm thinking to myself, like, what idiot brought the fight up here? Who brought us upstairs? Now, one good reason maybe to bring the fight upstairs that I can think of, you guys notice I'm going to try to cut them off at the pass. And at this point, I didn't really realize until it was too late that, hold up, they've got both objectives fired up. Now, like I was saying, maybe one good reason to bring a spawn beacon upstairs is if these guys were so strong and they were so deep down here that we needed to flank them. But at the time that, you know, we were holding them off, we didn't need to flank anything. Because if you guys notice, they couldn't even get past us. But now that the attention has been brought from downstairs to upstairs, they have gotten past us. And not only have they armed and exploded A, they have also armed B. And it looks like B is going to explode. And during this particular mission, I was pretty pissed because I'm like, you know what? If that idiot would have just kept a spawn beacon on the lower level where the objective was, we would have been fine. There was no reason to flank. We were not outmanned. We were not outgunned. Because a lot of times when it comes to flanking, either you can flank as an individual, or if you are a support guy, you can try to get your team to flank. Me personally, I don't try to flank as a team unless I am fighting against a good opposition. Like, they are so strong, we can like make no ground. So if our opposition is so good to where we cannot make any ground, you know, like let's just say we're doing search and destroy attack and we just can't even push through, then I will flank the team. Now, if the team is fine and I just want to go out and get some extra kills, then I'll flank as an individual. And, you know, a lot of assault guys will do that. But I'm talking in particular about the support class, because the support is the brains. And if you position the team in a bad area, you can basically cost us a mission. So for a lot of you support guys that you're just so anxious to get in all these firefights, please keep in mind, make the distinction between your benefit as an individual and what's better for the team collectively. All right, so if you notice, these guys, they didn't even try to take down my turret. Right? So either one of two things. Either they didn't take down my turret because they're trying to disarm the target, or they just overlooked it. Right? And actually, I don't even know why they would overlook it, because as long as my turret is there, that's more firepower that they have to fight against. So, I mean, I know me personally, I would probably make that a priority, because the longer that turret is there, the more kills that I'm going to get. And not only is it more kills that I'm going to get, I mean, not like they're looking for my benefit, but that's more that's going to hurt their team, because those turrets are pretty strong. All right, so enough about that. So we got the assault guy. Looks like he was trying to come from the back. We got this support guy. I'm just going to go ahead and throw a petricide grenade. Maybe deter him for a little bit. All right, look like, all right, now you guys notice they're like 8 deep now. They're like 8 deep, so they're doing a good job at trying to defend. And this is why you guys notice I have to run all the way to this base, yet we have several support guys. Now we should have some beacons down, because if you guys notice, they were probably like 8 or 9 deep. So with them being like 8 or 9 deep, it really prevents us from being able to attack. Now, looks like he's going to go ahead and bring the fight upstairs. And at this particular point, I think is a good idea. You want to know why? Because you saw how deep they were. And if you're trying to fight those guys head on, you're going to have a hard time, because you guys notice they're doing a good job. Notice that right there. They're doing a good job at defending and holding us back. So flanking, at least in this particular case, is a good idea. Whereas before, it cost us the mission. So this is why I call the support guys the brains of the operation, because you have to first off, you have to think about your own individual interest and the benefit of the team. Now, you know what? Now that I think about it, turning it in that direction wasn't necessarily a good idea. I know why I did it then, right? Because I was thinking to myself, like, you know what? I'll just go ahead, fire up a lot of those guys from the back. As long as I'm getting some kills with those guys from the back, we can go ahead and flank, and we can go ahead and fire up that target. But then I thought about it. I said, you know what? As they die, they're going to be coming from their home base, so I probably should have faced it in the other direction. But, you know, that's just kind of like one of those things that you just kind of live and you learn as you go. Right? Because if you notice all right, I'm going to go ahead and tear down that spawn beacon. Keep that in mind, guys, that a lot of times when you see a spawn beacon and you have an option to kill opposition, make that spawn beacon a priority. Because as long as you get rid of that spawn beacon, that's further they have to travel. The further they have to travel, that's less likely that they are there to hold you back. All right, so enough of the rambling. I think you guys can pretty much gauge the rest of this match at this point. I'm not really sure if we win. And actually we won, so we're good to go. All right, guys, so you guys can go ahead and check the stats for yourself. And hey, I finished number 1. All right, so hey, until next time, Martyrs Brigade is